Hello, welcome to the Hailerz residency. My name is Samuel Apata. I I will be facilitating this class. It's really a session where we'll be talking about vibe coding and hopefully get the community aware of what vibe coding is and how they can apply it to their everyday build. Um, so I have a short presentation here, and I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And feel free to mute if
Okay.
unless you're talking. Yeah, thanks. So vibe coding really is it got brought about with the advent of AI. So artificial intelligence technology is how came to know what vibe coding is, right? So before vibe coding, all we knew was coding, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so on. But vibe coding, I think, is a millennial or Gen Z way of saying coding. Um, so I guess that's where the vibe is coming into play. But coding is coding, right? So coding is a way for humans to interact with the computer. And if you can see my screen, what you're seeing on the screen is a set of codes, right? So it's a way for humans to input information and get the computer to display that information is essentially what coding is. So vibe coding really is saying that AI is writing the code. So humans are writing the prompt and AI is writing the code. So whether it's ChatGPT, Copilot, or any other tools that you make use of in your daily life, all of those, if you write a prompt and the computer spits out a code, it's called vibe coding. So it's really not that complicated. Um, but what we're going to talk about today is first is HTML. So we're going to define what HTML is, look at the structure, the elements, and we're going to actually write some codes ourselves. So, Kira, I'm hoping that you're ready to write some codes. I see
Yeah.
Eunice and PBK is on the line as well. I hope you're ready to write some codes because that's all today's class is about. Awesome. So let's get started. What is HTML? HTML really is, and for some reason, my presentation is all over the place. Okay, so let's start from what HTML is. So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Hypertext Markup Language. Now, think about it, right? It ends in language, so let's not concern ourselves too much about what hypertext markup means. But language is really how we communicate, right? So whether it's English language, whether it's natural language, whether it's prompting, whether it's Spanish, it's all language. So think of HTML as a language, as a way for you to talk to your computer, to have it display things, right? Um, so that's really all it is, and that's what coding is. So whether HTML, CSS, which is cascading style sheets, JavaScript, and the rest, they're all in some way a form of communication, a form of language, right? So HTML really defines the structure of a web page. So for example, imagine that this screen you're looking at is a web page. HTML is what is telling this piece of text. If you can see my mouse right here at the top, HTML is what is telling this piece of text to stay in this position. It's what is defining the absolute position where this piece of text is staying. So whether it's the X coordinates or the Y coordinates, right? So HTML is what exists on the back end of your web pages. Now that's different from what I'm sharing right now is a presentation. So even though it's been displayed on the web, it's an image. So all of this is an image that has already been defined. So it's static. You can't really change it unless you go back to, say, Canva or whichever tool you used to build it. But if it were a web page, on the other hand, as I'll show you in a second. So if this were to be a web page, for example, just any web page really, and we can take the Hailerz website as an example. It takes a second to load. So let's say the Hailerz website is an example of a web page. So this isn't an image, this is a selectable text. Do you see the difference? So where in that PowerPoint presentation, I can't really select any of this text, right? Because it's an image, it's just one image. But in this web page, I can actually select text. I can't really directly edit that text, but that text is being displayed because there's a code behind this page. Now to view that code, we can right click and feel free to follow along if you're on your computer or your phone. Well, maybe not your phone, but if you're on your computer, you can definitely follow along. So right click and then go to view page source. It's at the bottom. And that opens up the codes for this web page. So you can see all of the codes that's behind that web page. You can select the codes, you can copy it, you can modify that code. Well, to an extent, you can in your own file, in your local file, but you can't just go to somebody's website and edit their codes, you know, that because of there's some security things you have to worry about. But in the general sense, you can copy this code, paste it into your own new page, and produce the same result because, you know, code is code. It doesn't lie. Whatever you paste is what you get. So what's making this code work is a set of definitions, and I'm going to increase the size so you can see it, right? So there are a couple of definitions we're going to talk about in a second that's making this code stay in place, or that's defining this code. So the first one is the doc type. So that is saying this document type is HTML. That's defining the document type. So it's almost like saying this is English language or this is hypertext markup language, right? So it's almost like an introduction into, so you always have to have this at the top of your HTML code for it to work. So here you're further defining it, like, okay, it's written in English, and, you know, class we can talk about in a second. You know, you're defining what class it is, and then you're saying inside of the head of this web page, you have this content, right? So this one is called an opening tag. So it's got this back arrow. It's got, you know, the words that define it. This is pretty standard if you're writing code. And then you have the back code, the back arrows, right? So this is called a tag. And the presentation actually breaks that down even further. So HTML consists of a series of elements, which I've just shown you. HTML elements tell the browser how to display content, which we've talked about. HTML elements label pieces of content as such, right? So you have heading, you have paragraph, and so on. And don't be confused. I'm going to break that down in a second. So here's the doc type we talked about just now that can be found on almost any web page. It's telling you that this document is an HTML file. It's telling you that it starts with a head, which inside of that head, it could be a header, like a heading. Most web pages have some form of heading, right? Because you have to introduce your viewers to what you're looking at. For example, the structure of HTML, all of this is inside of the head tag. So this can be considered the head tag, and this can be considered the body, right? Just like a human being, like you have head and then you have the body, right? So 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 also in HTML you have the opening tag, which is this, and then you have the closing tag just for the head element. So all of this structure of HTML that could replace this page title, right? So if you were to be building this page, you would just type in structure of HTML inside of this head tag, and it automatically recognizes it as your heading. I'm going to pause there and ask if you have any questions. Kira?
No question for now.
Okay, so you completely understand it.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just as you have your head tag, you also have your body tag, right? So your body tag is everything else. So maybe you're adding a paragraph like this one, your first paragraph, your second paragraph, and so on. And then you must close that tag to really make it work. If you don't have this closing tag, which consists of the same set of words, except there's a forward slash, that shuts the door pretty much. So you have your body tag opening, and then you have your paragraphs. And we'll talk about these other tags in a second, right? So these other tags really is saying H1. So your H1 element just means heading one. You also have H2 element, which is a smaller heading. So think of the largest font you can think of, like H1. So this could be an example of an H1 element, right? So if you have a subtitle like this one, this could be a H2. So even if you type H1 or H2, your computer knows to display a large piece of text or a smaller piece of text. You also have H3, H4, H5, it gets smaller, right? And then you have your paragraph tag, which is what you'll be using a lot of the times because you want to fill your page with content, whether you're writing a blog or anything else, you need your paragraph tag. So your paragraph tag as well starts with a P and then closes with a /P. So that's the paragraph tag. So remember, you have your H1 tag, paragraph tag, all inside of your body tag, right? And then you have your heading tag, which usually consists of just a title. You don't usually find yourself using paragraph inside of the heading tag, although it's possible, but often case the paragraph will be reserved for the body tags inside of the body tags. So this is one tag inside of there's two tags inside of one tag, which is the body tag, right? Now let's go back to our example. So you still have other things that kind of define what's happening on the web page, which before you had to kind of understand what all of these were, but nowadays with vibe coding, you don't need to understand all of this anymore because you can just tell the AI to spit it out. But the reason you're taking this class is for you to understand how coding works in the first place, so you can be able to prompt better, so you can tell the AI to create something amazing and you know exactly what you're creating. I hope that makes sense. So there are all the scripts involved. And don't be, don't be thrown off by any of these. These are all just, scripts. Scripts, sometimes they're external. They're not things you need to write at all. You just need to focus on building the structure for your page. And this one is a little more complicated, this website, but there are other simpler sites, right? So with vibe coding, I'm going to go on and use Copilot for our vibe coding today. With vibe coding, you can start to. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have Notepad on your? Are you on a computer right now or on your phone?
On my phone.
On your phone. Yeah, that might be a little tough. So I might,
Mm.
or I mean, it depends on you. Do you have Notepad on your phone?
No, no.
Okay, yeah. So whenever you get a chance, and you're in front of a computer that has Notepad, I think it comes with most Windows or Apple
Yeah.
laptops. Your Notepad is what you need, or you can download a tool called Sublime. So I use Sublime to,
Sublime.
yes, Sublime to write my code. So this is what Sublime looks like. It's a free tool. You just download it, Sublime.
Okay.
If you look at the logo, you can easily find it. And all I'm going to do here is create a new file. So once you have Sublime installed, it doesn't take more than a minute to install it. Once you have it installed, you can start to type in your codes here. But remember, we're supposed to define some things before we get into writing our codes. Can you remind me what that is? Maybe not the exact thing, but why do we need to define what we're coding?
And to kind of give it like a guide on what
Exactly.
we are about to. Okay.
Exactly. You want to specify the language and other things, right? So instead of, since we don't know, we don't code, right? We're going to instead ask AI to do all of that for us. So we're going to say build a standard HTML, or write a standard HTML code for a page with heading and paragraph, right? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So we're saying write
That
a
makes sense.
HTML code for a page with a heading and a paragraph, right? If you can
Yeah.
remember this prompt, you can write any code. Like it's going to be. So these are just a set of prompts I'm going to be giving you. Like if you didn't take this class, maybe that wouldn't make sense to you, but now you see why we're doing things. It's
Yeah.
so much easier, right? So write a standard HTML code for a page with a heading and a paragraph. So then you can go on and modify that heading and paragraph to be whatever you want it to be, right? And the AI is probably just going to take a minute to spit that out. We're going to copy. Sorry, my mouse is getting finicky this morning. Sorry, just a second. We're going to, yeah, I have too many windows open. So do a copy. Um, I'm just waiting for it to say copy. Do you see what's happening? Yeah. So do you make use of Copilot or ChatGPT? Do you have a preference? Okay, let me see if it actually copied it. I might need to shut some things down. Bear with me. This isn't going as planned. Sorry, I need to shut down some of my windows. Um, Kira, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Where are you joining us from? Just curious.
Lagos, Nigeria.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard it's raining in Lagos this morning.
Yeah, it is in some parts, but it's not raining here.
Okay. Yeah, I was there just 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Um, just a second.
It's fine.
Are you still seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Um, okay, so I think we should be good, man. Let me copy this code very quickly. So that was a long break. Copy this code and then go back to Sublime. Remember where we just asked the AI to spit out a quick code for us, right? So now we have our code, right? It's telling us what document type this is. It's telling us what language. It's telling us what's, whatever that is. And it's telling us what the title is, right? So we're going to save this file real quickly. So save or save as, whichever one works for you. And then you want to save as HTML. And it looks like it defaults to saving as HTML in any case. But we're going to create a folder and save it inside of that folder. So we're going to call this, just call it Hailerz for now. And then we're going to call our page test. So, oops. So inside of that folder, we're going to call our page test. So our page is test, and we're saving it as HTML. So we're going to look for that same page. And you can't see this, but on my other screen, we're going to save inside of that HTML file. We're going to look for Hailerz. And we're going to open this page in a browser. So open it in Google Chrome. So this is what's displaying on that page. Do you see that? So the code we just wrote, this is what it's displaying as. So if we were to, and I'm going to just move this to the side. If we were to change anything on this page, it would, if we were to change this to say, hello world, something, and then hit save, so Control S, and we were to refresh this page is going to change. Okay, don't call me a liar. That page is supposed to change. Let me make sure I'm saving that correctly. So this page should change. Hmm. Okay, sorry. So you see that changed over there. So that's what I'm changing, not the actual H1. So this is what I need to change, right? So hello world. And let me save that again. And when we refresh this, you see that changes? Did you catch that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's really all you're doing, right? So this is affecting what displays up here. So that's how they have all of this, other tab sets display their names by entering that into the title. And your H1 is actually your header for that page. And whatever else, you change here, changes. So if you change this text, it it changes in the browser, right? And you save that and you refresh this, that's exactly what you get. So just doing this starts to give you an idea of, okay, looks like I can vibe code anything, right? Like imagine how much power you have now. So you tell me, what do you want us to vibe code? It can be anything, like a portfolio page, just pretty much anything.
For now, I don't really. Nothing is coming.
Right, right. Yeah, it can be pretty much any web page that you can imagine. Just go for it. Like
Okay, let's like code a Google page,
a Google
home
home
page.
Google homepage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what do you think we have to prompt the computer to say in that case?
What did you say?
Yeah, what should we tell the computer to get it to, you know,
You can change the logo.
yeah, but what do we enter as a prompt? So we have to think about what prompts to ask it. So,
Okay.
one thing I advise is just say it how you're thinking about it, right? Like don't when you're talking to the computer, don't be nice. Don't say please or, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't understand that. You just
Yeah.
go, you know, think of it as a dumb it's a smart person or a computer, but it's also not very smart, right? It doesn't understand the nuances of language. Like it's very straightforward. You have to be straight. You have to straight up tell it what you want. So you can, as a build up to our earlier conversation, you can say, all right, mostly always start with right? Like write the code for a Google homepage for a Google homepage. But that's going to be so simple because it's probably just going to go copy from Google somewhere. So um, we're just going to run that and see what it spits out. So it's thinking, and you see that? Like, so this is the part where you just copy this and paste it in your file. Now, there may be other things involved with, say, a Google homepage, like some JavaScript and so on. So usually, if you have JavaScript, you would save it in a separate file. But you can also ask it to add it to this same file. So you can say add all of the JavaScript and CSS in the same file. But let's see how it works. If it's not working, it's probably because maybe the JavaScript is supposed to be saved separately. Um, but it'll make more sense once we can copy this, which looks like my computer is still slow, or maybe writing codes just involves more work than usual. But in any case, it's still loading. Yeah, but you can even see like the structure that it's building. Like Um, yeah, I don't like the slowness at all. It's not very helpful. But yeah, it looks like I can copy it now. So it's copied, and I'm going to paste it in Sublime, and we'll see what it spits out. So I'm just going to select all of this, delete it, and paste new codes, right? You see, it's a lot of code, right? Like this isn't something that you need to, previously you have to write this yourself, but nowadays you don't have to. You just have to be able to ask the right questions from AI, and you keep tweaking until you get what you want, right? So I've saved that, and we're going to refresh this page and see what we get. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. Did you see what we just got? This is a Google homepage. This is what we exactly what we asked it to do. You said a Google homepage, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's a Google homepage.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to change it to something else, if you decide, you no longer want it to spit out a Google homepage, it could be you can say build a store for or write the codes. Oops. Write the codes for a store, or let's just assume you have a clothing line, right? So Kira Clothing. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's going to build your web page with it's only a mock-up, but and the way you use vibe code, and it could be for different things, right? So maybe you're on a WordPress website, for example. It's a place where you can, if you need to change some codes within your WordPress site or other things, you can start to, do that via vibe coding. So let's say you need to tweak some things, but you have to just apply a bit of imagination to really get it done. And, you know, knowing the limitations of AI, which it doesn't seem like it has much limitations here, but you have to be able to ask the right questions to get the right results. Yeah, the Microsoft is being too slow today. All right, so I'm going to copy that code, go to Sublime, and just select all, delete, and paste, and save. And by the time I return to this page, do you see that?
Yes.
It actually builds your shop. Like this
Yeah.
normally would take a lot of time to build. Now with vibe coding, it's so much easier. And from here you can start to say, okay, maybe I need a shop page, or maybe I need an about page. You can, which I don't think it built that about page. Yeah, so this is just the home page, right? So you can say, change the color, change the background color to to something else, maybe, green or red. Like, you can go back and forth with the AI, or you can also go in here and change it yourself. So, what's one way to know if you're trying to change something here? Remember we talked about body, we talked about the header, we talked about header one. Um, you just kind of have to. So these codes, the hex codes, so HEX, they're color codes, right? If you've taken like a graphic design class in the past or something, you may be familiar with some of those concepts. So these are called hex codes, which is another kind of coding, right? So hex codes are mostly made up of 6 letters, 6 characters, just like this one. So each color that you see, whether it's red, purple, green, or any other color that you see, they all have their own codes. So changing this hex code will change the color here. So, some of the hex codes that I know off the top of my head are maybe 000, which is black. So let's do, let's make that 6 blacks and hit save. And by the time we refresh this, you see that? It's going to change the color.
Yeah, so
Right. So let's say we don't want that. We can undo that and go change something else, right? And you see that these images appear to be broken, right? That's showing us there's supposed to be an image there that's broken. So the reason we have that image broken is because there's no image inside of our folder. So this is our folder with that file. So it's not able to find any image inside of the folder, because you have to think of this. It's a folder that sits on the web, but every element in that web page needs to be almost in that same folder or somewhere where you can go fetch that image. So what we can do is add some images to, so let's just add an image to this folder, and then we can go call out this image. So let's just call this image test. Oh no, let's just say lady, and then so it's going to be lady.png. We have to look at the file type. So what we want to do is look for product 2. So you can quickly search for product 2. Right, so you see product 2, the image source is, it's sourcing that image from a website, but you don't have that website and you want to replace it with your own image. So you could say, since you know where you saved your image, you can say lady.png and see if it finds it, right? Since it's in the same folder, you don't need any / or anything. So let's refresh it and see if it actually finds it. Do you see that?
wow, I saw that.
Exactly. Now it's just pulling from that, I mean, some of the things you could say right now is, okay, maybe that image is too large, right? Maybe you want something smaller. And, those properties, you can start to control it in here. You can look for the div class, which is product. You can scroll back up to product, and you can control the width or the height of that image, right? That's 50%.
Yes.
So you can get smaller than it is right now. And refresh that page, and looks better, right? So those are just some things you can do with like, maybe you don't like all of the space. All of this just seems like it's a margin issue. So you kind of have to know what you're looking for, like, and something else you can do is go to inspect. So what we did before was page source. So page source is giving you the exact same codes we were just working on, but inspect is giving you that's going to allow you to look at different elements, and you can see the way it's anything you. So these are the same codes, but this time, if you expand that, it's going to show you line by line exactly what you're looking at. So in essence, this most of this is contained inside of the body. So you can go to body and expand. Once you expand that, you can see the header. It lets you target each one. So now you know, okay, Kira clothing is in H1. The paragraph is in, the subheading is in, the
Yeah.
navigation. If I change this, maybe it's not home anymore, right? Maybe you want to change it to something else. But you can't really do that directly here, but it gives you an idea what to go look for inside of your. So now you're trying to determine why this, why you have that block of whatever that is. Like, so you can look at it and say, okay, div class is hero, right? Now you have to go look for hero inside of your course. So this is hero, right? And immediately you can see the height is 300%, which is unnecessary. You can just make that like 50% and, save. And by the time you come back here, see that? Like, and if you wanted to flush all the way, you can just make it 0. Where, let's just make it 10. And then, ooh, okay, now I see why they put that there, because of that header. So there's something else being affected there. So let's just make it like 30. Let's save. Fresh. Right? This still looks okay. So, but that's just some simple techniques to use when you're vibe coding. And so you could either change it yourself, or you can go back to AI and say, oh, I don't like the, but it helps to have some knowledge, right? You can say, oh, I don't like the margin at the top. But there are a bunch of margins, so you might get different results with a prompt like that. You have to be, the more targeted and specific you can be, the better it's going to be. So if you know, okay, that's affecting the hero, you can say, oh, reduce the margin on the hero by, or reduce the height of the margin, or reduce the height of the hero by, 20%, which it's easier for you to just change it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, hope this helps. Like, how would you be using this skill? I'm just wondering.
Well, it actually helps. It simplified what
Right.
vibe coding is. Initially, I used to think, what is vibe coding?
Yeah.
But now I can really, wow, that's nice. I've really read about it, but I don't really know how it is applied. But now I can really, yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
understand. I'll see where I can apply it, but I'm sure I'll try and do some hands-on.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I can't really think of a way myself, but there are. I mean, sometimes I get projects like this. Like, I'm actually working on a
Mm.
set of blogs for a client where they don't really write codes, and they want me to modify
Wow,
um,
that's nice.
codes for their. So yeah, like, you never know where this skills show up. Next time
Yeah.
somebody tells you, like, oh, come help me code this website, just say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a time to say no, because you have AI now, and you can, at least you have a little background knowledge. What I just
Yeah.
taught you now is something I probably learned over a semester in school. But look how quickly you were able to at least get it to an extent, and that's the whole point
Hmm.
of the residency. So Yeah, we do have other sessions coming up this weekend. I think we have 2 sessions tomorrow, so hopefully you can join us.
What's that for? Is it for vibe coding as well?
No, there's one for Excel. So if you're looking to learn Excel, that's
Okay.
it's a three-part series. Just everything on Excel, how to write formulas and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's happening tomorrow at 7 p.m.
All
And
right. I'll try.
then and then we have one at 11:30, Lagos. It's on how to register a freelance account with Upwork
Up
and
to
Fiverr.
o'clock.
Those are
Wow,
the
that would be nice.
Yeah, because we found out that a lot of people get rejected for
Mm-hmm.
some, so we're trying to fix that.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. That would be
Thank you
nice. I
for
will
your
join.
time.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
your time as well.
Absolutely. I'll stop the recording and see
Okay.
you in the community. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye.